More glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and unto the ages of ages.
Amen.
It's truly a joy to be in your midst as we come to the 8th Sunday following the Feast of Pentecost. Recently, I was reading one of the surveys in one of the journals, and I was reading that estimated that approximately 44 million Americans are experiencing significant loneliness in their lives. The study was saying 44 million Americans, which means everyone who lives in America. So it includes all of us as well. 44 million are experiencing significant loneliness in their life. When we reflect on our lives, when we reflect on our daily lives, maybe even on a daily basis, we often also experience this loneliness in our life. No matter if you're married, no matter if you're unmarried, we often find ourselves still feeling lonely in our life. Hundreds and hundreds of friends we have in our life. We might be in a room full of people. Great job, great financial stability in our life, great status in our society, in our workplace. Hundreds and hundreds of friends on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. But still, for some reason, we still feel lonely in our life. We have all these things in our life. We've filled our lives with so many things. But still, we still have this feeling often in our life. We may be telling ourselves, I don't have loneliness in my life. Maybe we can explore what loneliness looks like. What does loneliness look like in our life? Sometimes it's people not understanding us. Sometimes it's people not understanding our struggles. We may be going through something, but no one really understands what we're going through. Sometimes it's people disagreeing with us. Maybe we believe something in our life. Maybe we're really convicted towards something, some belief. And someone disagrees with us. It could be a spouse, it could be our friend, it could be someone at work. When they disagree with us, do we not feel a sense of loneliness? It feels like we're the only one that believes in whatever that is. Sometimes loneliness looks like a lack of care. Sometimes it looks like people don't care for us in our life. It could be the people in our own homes, people in our workplaces, people in our church. When we feel like that, when we feel that people don't care, it comes with a sense of loneliness as well. Why is this? Why is this? All these things in our life, so many things, we filled ourselves with our careers, money, great cars, we live in houses. But why? Why is it still that we feel this way in our life? When you study loneliness, when you talk to people who are lonely, when you talk to people who are struggling with loneliness, at the core of loneliness is one thing. At the core of loneliness is one thing, and that one thing is love. It's a lack of love that that person is receiving in their life. It is that one piece that is missing. We could even say it's like the cornerstone we read in the epistle reading that is missing of the foundation, which weakens the structure, which is ourselves. It is that lack of love that we are receiving in our life. And what happens in these moments? When we're feeling lonely, we don't like it. We don't like those feelings, right? And in those moments, we try to find ways to feel better. We try to find different ways, whatever way it might be. We try to feel better because we don't like those feelings. And often what happens is we become so focused on ourselves, right, when that's happening. When we're in a challenging time, when we're going through loneliness or sadness or whatever it may be, we turn towards ourself, right? All the attention becomes towards ourself and what we're going through. The question for us to ask, my loved ones, today is, how often do we think about the loneliness that others are experiencing in their life? Often we turn to ourselves. We start forgetting about those around us. But how often do we think about the loneliness that others are experiencing in their life? It could be your spouse. It could be your sibling. It could be your parent. It could be your coworker. It could be the person that rings up the food for us at the supermarket. How often do we think about the loneliness that they are experiencing or the lack of love that they have in their life? Today's gospel, when we reflect on today's gospel, it reminds us of the great role of relationships. It's a very practical gospel today, as all the gospels are. It's reminding us about relationships, our great role when it comes to relationships. We hear about the I am the bread of life, Christ saying that he is the bread of life. Christ offers us the bread of life, himself, who he is, that love which is Christ himself. Are we not also to offer that love to those around us? Just like he offers to us the bread of life, his attention, his love, are we not also to offer that love to those around us? When we reflect on the lives of the apostles, we know that they're sent out on a mission to preach the gospel, just like all of us are. But it's very simple, my brothers and sisters. To share the gospel is not merely to walk around with the Bible, but to share love. That is what it means to share the gospel, to share love through our actions, through our care, through our attention to those around us. Simply to bring the love of God, the love of Christ, that bread to our neighbors, those around us, those in our relationships, your spouses, siblings, your co-workers, those that we encounter on a daily basis. We're called and reminded today of our calling, that we are sent out to love our neighbor, to share that bread of life to those around us. Maybe asking ourselves, what are some ways that we can love? What are some ways that we could bring this love to those who are living in darkness, those who are struggling with loneliness, lack of love in their life? Instead of always being so focused on ourselves, our own families, our own issues, our own loneliness, we must simply begin thinking about, reflecting on the loneliness that others are experiencing in their life. Just beginning to think about what they're struggling with. And that reflection, God willing, will invoke something in us. It might invoke sadness. It might invoke concern. Do something. To say, how are you doing? Keep going. Don't give up. Right? God is with us. Right? But it only begins when we at least make an effort to think about the loneliness that others are experiencing. That is where we must start so that we can offer ourselves to those around us. It's hard. It's hard. Right? Because we may be asking ourselves, what do I do? How do I offer love to others when I'm struggling with that? When I'm struggling with loneliness, how do I offer love to others? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But in those moments, we must ask God for his help. We must ask God, even if we're going through that struggle, not to just turn towards ourselves, but to say, Lord, help me. I'm experiencing loneliness. I'm experiencing a lack of love, but help me to love my spouse. Help me to love this person that's in the supermarket ringing up my food. Help me to love this person at work. In the midst of our own struggles, in the midst of our own loneliness, we must turn to God and ask him for help. Ask him to give us that bread, which is himself, his love, so that we could offer that love to those around us. One of the saints of the church, Saint Sophrony of Essex, England, this is what he says: unless we acquire the sense of service to others, our life will be useless. If we wish to regenerate our nature, to gain likeness to God, the desire to serve others should dominate our life. My loved ones, when we offer love to others, it is our form of service to others. It's a form of giving ourselves just like Christ gives himself to others. We're given many opportunities, even in the midst of our own loneliness, even in the midst of our own struggles. Today, after service in the dining hall, when we're driving home, when we go into our workplaces throughout this week, so many opportunities in front of us, in the midst of our struggles, to offer love to those around us. Every encounter with another human being is an opportunity for us to offer love to that person in front of us. But a question for us as we leave here today, as we continue into the divine liturgy, is what will we do? What will we do? We have this great calling from Christ to offer ourselves, offer that love which is Christ to others in our life. But what will we do? Will we continue to make excuses? Will we continue to turn towards ourselves and to focus just on ourselves? Or will we follow that way of love? May we be inspired through the gospel today to strive to follow that example of Christ, to offer that bread to those around us, so that we may become light to those living in darkness. May all glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and unto the ages of ages.